Chris Matthews, welcome to this show. What a couple weeks it's been. Hillary Clinton's big win in Pennsylvania, then Jeremiah Wright's madcap media blitz. Now the fate of the Democratic Party lies in the hands of Indiana and North Carolina. So I've asked two of the best political reporters in those two states to join us today. Kim Genardo covers politics and hosts a weekly political show for WNCN in Raleigh, North Carolina. And Andrea Morehead anchors two shows on WTHR in Indianapolis. Dan Rather, of course, global correspondent for HDNet. Michael Duffy, assistant managing editor of Time magazine. So what is the state of play heading into Tuesday's primaries? Obama's got the delegate lead, but he's had to fight those Jeremiah Wright rants. Listen to him this week.
I am outraged by the comments that were made and saddened over the spectacle that we saw yesterday.
As for Hillary, she's mostly kept quiet on Reverend Wright, appealing to voters as a fighter who feels their pain.
It's time we had a fighter and a champion back in the White House who stood up for you, and that is what I will do.
Dan, the importance of Tuesday, apart from everything else in the numbers, is it's the first chance for voters to react to the eruption earlier this week, on Monday, remember, at the press club of Jeremiah Wright. What do you think will happen?
Well, I'm out of the predicting business because my crystal ball is permanently in the hawk shop. However, Hillary Clinton has an opportunity on Tuesday to kick the political equivalent of a 60-yard field goal, which is to say, if she were to win in Indiana and in North Carolina, it would change the center of gravity of the race. It's odds against she can do that. I do think that the combination of the Wright situation and what candidate Obama said in San Francisco about the bitterness thing has hurt him very badly. We'll know Wednesday morning how badly, but I don't think there's any question it's hurting.
Let's talk about North Carolina, Kim. It's where you work. He's had a big lead down there, Barack Obama's had for weeks now. It's narrowing, I hear. Tell me what you hear about that race as it's shaping up. Will it be an up or down on Jeremiah Wright, not Barack?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a lot of narrowing. Clinton might be the comeback kid here, but does she have enough to get it done? I don't think so, but it's going to be close, and they'll spin that as a victory anyway. But as far as Reverend Wright, we're hearing from voters there that it's not really influencing them too much. At least the smart, educated pool of voters who go to the primaries, they're not buying necessarily this guilt by association. But that being said, what about your more conservative, white, rural voters? And I don't know that I'm that in touch with them to know if that's going to make them
What an honest reporter you are. Anyway, let me go to Andrea out there in Indianapolis. Same question to you. That's one where Hillary's expected to win a little bit of a victory out there. Where's it look like in terms of the impact of the Reverend Wright there?
Well, it's really difficult to tell right now what kind of impact is being had based on the comments that Jeremiah Wright said. I know I've interviewed Obama over the last few weeks, and of course he has been out there distancing himself from his relationship with Jeremiah Wright. And when you talk to voters in Indiana, they are more concerned about the issues. This is not something that people are talking about. I mean, they're talking about it at the water coolers, of course, in the barbershops and the grocery stores, but in terms of how it's going to affect their vote next Tuesday, it's really difficult to tell. They're more concerned about jobs, they're more concerned about the economy coming back, they're more concerned about the war in Iraq. They want to talk about the real issues that affect us in Indiana. So we don't know if this is actually going to play a role, so we have to see how it all shakes out.
You know, Mike, I've read that Indiana is a younger state demographically. Pennsylvania is one of the two oldest states, with Florida a retirement area for so many people. Indiana's younger. It is rural, it's southern, it's northern, it's city, it's country, it's got everything. But I've always sensed it was a closer race than Pennsylvania. Is it going to be close, or is Hillary going to thump them there?
Well, we don't know. But
you don't know?
It's going to be closer because the state is more diverse. It's more diverse culturally. It's more diverse ethnically. It's more diverse economically than Pennsylvania. And so it's going to be tight all the way to the end. North Carolina, a little bit of a difference. I also think on Reverend Wright, one other thing we just ought to just admit, 4 months, Barack Obama has run as someone who really transcended race. And anytime someone else tried to put race on the table, he said, that's not about me. But when his pastor did it, it made it really hard for that campaign to rise above it. And now that is going to be with us in this race, probably for the duration.
Is this always going to be available as a way for his critics and opponents to put him back in the ghetto?
It will always be available for this for his opponents to raise it as something he has to deal with, defend, deflect, and that will probably be true for the rest of the year.
But let me say something. The people that I'm talking to in Indiana, they're saying this is really a distraction. How many times does he have to say that he's guilty by association. How many times does he have to say, this is not who I am, this is not who defines me, this is not who I am as a person? How many times does he have to say that this is not who I represent?
Fair enough, fair enough.
He's going to have to say it a lot.
Fair enough, Dan, but the verdict on that, is going to be rendered by voters, and perhaps fairly or not, it's going to be white voters. They're going to say, well, they think this puts him off in the corner, not as a transitional figure, but as a ghetto figure in a sense. White voters in Indianapolis, in Indiana, they're going to decide this thing. If he takes a thumping out there, everyone will say it was Jeremiah Wright that did it to him.